Hello everybody. So I was telling you in one of our last episodes that I was going to redo my template plan. And I just wanted to do a quick short video on what I did. Originally, I used my large square from a screw hole right here and rotated from this point over to about here, and I was afraid that was going to be too sharp of an angle in here. I pulled out a compass. I played around with the pencil part up here at the top, and I figured out how high do I want to come. And then I found what was centered between where this curve started to sharpen and where it needed to come to. So once I had played around with that a little bit, I was able to put down the back side and then work my way from here over to where it has to go. And once you've done that, if you figure in, I even traced myself a whole little circle here just so I could see what I was doing. You probably can't see that well on my camera though. I reduced my size by a ½ inch down, which matched me to this line, and it will match over here. This isn't quite a ½ inch when I drew it out. So that's my plan, is to have a ½ inch wide Tambour Track. And I brought this time all the way up to where I think this surface is going to come down. I probably could have stood to have come up even a little bit higher. So we'll have to play with that and see. But right now that's where my plan is as it stands. I realize that this is an unconventional layout for a bread box. Like I said, I didn't want something that just opened up and then you see the door coming down in the back, so I put in a plan to put a little piece of wood in here to hide the door, which will set in behind. And then I also left myself almost an inch gap back here because I'm going to come in at least a ¼ inch, and I'm going to run my whole sheet up the back. Because obviously you got to have something in the back, and I don't need solid wood for that. What I'm actually going to use, you'll be surprised, I think it's sold as a flooring underlayment. But I love the stuff. You'll get to see that later. It's got an interesting little grain pattern. I never even stain it or anything. Works great for the backs of things. But anyway, I wanted to explain how I redid the template on that, redid the circle, and that's the plan. So welcome to another video by the Happy Woodworker. So, our next process here, what I've done, you guys will remember my template that I cut. I have taken another piece of MDF, put it down underneath of it, and this piece was like a ¼ inch short, the full width of this one, but I was okay with that, because you're going to probably notice it's hanging over on the back edge and down here. I put a C-clamp on the bottom of this to hold it in place. I have squared up my bottom edge. So I was telling you I'm going to explain how and show you how I did these tracks. And what we're getting ready to do on this piece of MDF underneath is cut and make a template for our Tambour Track. So when I drew out my plans, I figured in, okay, I've got a pilot hole here, I've got a pilot hole here, and I had figured that this is where I'm going to set my square in order to make my radius. So I had a couple of pilot holes drilled here, and I'm just going to redo this pilot hole down through the second sheet of MDF to make sure this matches precisely. So that's step one. Okay. I don't have to drill this second one because I changed this. So now we can take this loose. And for reference purposes, I also traced an outline of this just so I'd have it handy. I'm going to need a lot of room for this, so let me clean my bench up real quick, and as soon as I come back, we'll start showing you how to plan for your Tambour Track. Be right back. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my square. Got my bench cleaned off, more or less. Now, I was telling you last time, on your square you have this little tiny notch right here. We're going to use that. That screw still has quite the gap in here. So now I'm going to figure out what I had for measurement. Well, what I actually wanted to do was have a 1/2 inch gap, so why don't I do this? I'm going to come in with a pencil and mark 1/2 inch. What we're doing now is we're going to measure over for our Tambour Track, and I wanted my Tambour Track at least a 1/2 inch from my edge, so I put a little mark in right here. So I'm going to get a measurement now from how far that is from my screw. It's like I'm exactly 10 inches. This is the tricky part if you're going to do this way. There are several different ways you can do this. You can make your own compass using a piece of scrap wood. The way you would do that is to just have a piece of wood, put a nail down through the center of it, put a hole for your pencil at the precise measurement you want, and then as you rotate, you can accomplish the same thing. There's also the string method, and that's basically put a nail or a screw right here, put a string, measure that string out, wrap it around your pencil, and as you rotate, keep that string tight, and you will also accomplish this. There are several different ways to do this. I had a square handy, so it's what I used. There we go. So I'm going to find 10 inches. I'm going to lay my hand on my square, because if I come off of my square or I'm doing this, my pencil's going to float. And then we're just going to rotate. I was being very careful to make sure my pencil did not move off my 10-inch mark. So that was my outside of my track, but what we're going to be cutting on this template is the inside. So I'm going to get another measurement here. I technically didn't even have to put that line in. I wanted to see it just for me. So my inside of my track is going to be at 9.5 inches. And here we go again. And now I'm going to move the camera so you guys get a different angle. And here we go. I'm on my square. I'm at 9.5 inches. There's my bottom section of my Tambour Track. Now, for this custom stuff up here, I've got to put in a few more measurements. So let me get a couple quick measurements, and I will come right back and show you how we're going to do that. And we're back. I'm ready to get those measurements that I haven't gotten yet. So my original plan, I was going to have a drawer that sets in here, and I was just going to set a board on the bottom and have a little runner. I've also been kind of arguing with myself as if I want to put a track in here for it, so I haven't decided on that yet. So you probably saw both on my plans. I've got a little runner listed here for it to just sit on, but I want a measurement on that runner just in case. Just so I know how high my track can go if I decide to go that route. We're just going to make a little mark across. That's the maximum height I can go to. And I will double check that. Always double check your measurements twice. And we're pretty good right there. So I'm going to be cutting this with a 1/2 inch straight cutting bit. And you can see I am, well, maybe you can't see, I am precisely ½ inch on that mark. But I also have to plan for the point to this template is so that I can use one of these. So that's our next step, is to figure out what we're going to be using for a pilot bushing here. Unfortunately, it kind of looks like I'm going to be using this. It is a ½ inch. Do I have anything that's not as deep? Alright. So, we're going to have to figure in how much excess room do I have on this in order to center this where I want it to cut. So, there's a couple different ways to do this. You can measure the diameter across from the outside edge to the outside edge, because that's what's going to be riding against your template, is that outside edge. Then you would have to figure however much larger than a ½ inch you're going to take half of that amount and add to the depth on here. So if this is exactly ½ inch inside, this would be like, probably a 1/16 on each edge. So I would have to add a 1/16 to this in order for my bit to cut my slot where I want it. So that is going to be the next step for figuring out how far back I'm going to have to pull this line. For my curve up here, I redid this, so next we've got to figure out where is my pilot hole for that going to be. And I'm going to go ahead and drill down for that, I think. Or I could take a measurement. Let's do this by measurement just so you guys see. So I'm going to have to use this side for a measurement because I've got a little overhang in here on this, because I've got a different size piece of MDF. So I'm going to come over from this edge . We are 7 1/16, and from the bottom, you know, sometimes it works better to do this the other way around. So take that off. It's like 6 5/8. So I'm going to do a measurement on this and mark my exact same X on this board. So I'd use an alternate method right there, just in case you're not good at measuring at 16ths and 30 seconds. And that was easy to do. That was how far up from the bottom and set my edge, how far over from the edge and set my measurement so that my measurement came exactly into my cross. So now I have the measurement for where to set my tip on this. And we're just going to come down and make that circle. And as you can see, we were right on the money with both how high we wanted to go and lining up for our curves. So that is my outer edge. Now I need to come in half an inch and do the inner edge. And then the last step here is to come up to where those finally straighten out. Right from the bottom edge, squared to that. I'm not going to go very far with a pencil with no lead, am I? Well, that one will work. And then we need to line up to where this one matches. That should give us perfect half an inch. So that's how I did that. This little pilot hole down here in the corner and my square was used to make this line, and this little point right here in conjunction with my compass is how I made that line. And then I came to where this curve finally stops before it starts coming back this way. That's where we can come straight down. So that's my Tambour Track. Now again, I've got to figure in an extra probably 1/16 of an inch on this. And I'm going to go back and repeat the process real quick just so you guys get the idea. So, we have to, right in the middle here, my square does not have 16ths, it only goes to 8ths. Gotta see the difference that makes. And honestly, I'm probably a little bit wide on that. I'm okay with that. If I put a full 1/8 in there, then I'm only going to be a 1/16 of an inch off from where I originally planned my line to be. Nobody's going to notice a 1/16 of an inch, and I just picked a half an inch because I thought it looked good. But now, we've got to do the same thing here. I'm going to have to pull this in to match that line. And I think in this case you guys are going to get a better view from the other side, so I'm going to switch it back to the other side. Okay, here we go. We'll find our point on this. Right into that cross, we're going to match this line right there. Then we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to come back in and line this up on that inner edge. And the same thing over on this side. The bottom part of my curve is not a curve. So this inner line is what I'm going to be cutting to make my Tambour Track. That accounts for my 1/2 inch bit. That accounts for my pilot bearing. And that's what we're going to be using. So, when we come back, we'll be cutting this out on the bandsaw.